What's going on, everybody? K to the 2 here with our PPL Division 2 Week 3, no, restart, Division 2 Season 3 Week 2 match up against the Cleveland Bros, coached by RubyMarrow. Now, his team, from the beginning of the season, post-draft power rankings, was rated number 1 overall. Let's just go ahead and take a look at what he has on the team. First of all, he has Jirachi, Megalopunny, a Donphan, Dragonite, Rotom Wash, Chesnaught, Reuniclus, Togetic, and Pyroar. Before this week, he actually had Tentacruel, Rotom Spook, and then Salamence. Did I already say Salamence? Or was it Tentacruel? Yeah, he had those three. Tentacruel, Rotom Spoop, and Salamence. So he ended up dropping those three to pick up Dragonite and Rotom Wash, which is a pretty big indicator that he wants those two Mons against my team, or at least one of the two, and then he just spent his extra remaining points on other things. Now, one thing that this means is he has one less thing for, well, technically one less thing for hazard removal, because he got rid of Tentacruel. So that's one less spinner I have to deal with. Now, Donphan is the only spinner on his team. He has Defog on Togetic, and he, of course, has Defog Dragonite, which would be weird, you know, that's kind of a weird thing to have. Like, looking at his team, you can see exactly why it's, like, rated really highly. Jirachi and Megalopunny is, like, a really scary core. Originally having Mence on there was, like, insane, and then he got Reuniclus super late in the draft, which just really ties that whole offensive team together. I feel like his support options aren't necessarily the best, that being Donphan, Rotom Wash, I feel better off used offensively. Chesnaught is cool, but not the greatest. Togetic, I feel, is like really poor. And then, of course, Pyroar on his team. Going up against my team, it's kind of scary. My only fire resist on the team is Manaphy. But then again, I have Manaphy for Pyroar, so it's like not that big of a deal. I also have Wobbuffet, so like I feel like he's going to have to plan very heavily, or else like his team just doesn't want to deal with it. Okay, let's go ahead and get right into the team. This week, we are bringing, first of all, this Whimsicott. Originally, in this slot, I had a Scarf Whimsicott with Prankster Switcheroo to trick the Reuniclus. However, I felt that Stun Spore is probably going to be more useful, especially with the Moonblast to hit Megalop and Chesnaught for as much damage as possible. Energy Ball to hit the Rotom Wash, the Donphan, and then his best switch into Whimsicott is either going to be Jirachi or Pyroar, both of which get Stun Spored, and then they're super easy to deal with. On top of that, Megalop doesn't want to stay in on a potential Stun Spore, especially after I show him the Rocky Helmet. That could be potentially dangerous. For him, at least. So, yeah, pretty kind of standard looking Whimsicott, I guess you could say. Like, it's pretty bulky on the HP side. I have enough speed. That is for the Jirachi, I believe. Because I can't touch Pyroar anyway, so there's no point in doing that against Pyroar. And Taunt is there to shut down Reuniclus. I could have Encore there, however, I feel like if he wants to send in Reuniclus into Whimsicott, I feel like my better option is to taunt it rather than waiting a turn and Encoring. So that is that. Next up, I really wanted to punish his Jirachi. Jirachi is kind of a threat against my team overall. As you can see, everything on my team basically deals with some sort of Jirachi. As you're going to see, and also Megalopunny. Like, all of his physical attackers, really, just my team hard stops them. and he's going to have to rely on more special attackers, aka those being Reuniclus, Pyroar, and of course Jirachi can run special. Did I already say Rotom? Yeah, Rotom as well. I feel like if there's anything that he's going to need to beat me with, it's going to be an offensive Rotom. But since I have Weavile, defensive Rotom is probably going to be his Rotom of choice for the week if he brings it, which I do anticipate him to bring that. So, Scarf Weavile has enough speed to outspeed a Jolly Scarf Jirachi. And I also have Pursuit, which after any sort of prior damage on the Jirachi, I can kill with Pursuit, or if I anticipate him to stay in and he's Colbur Berry, I would click Beat Up, otherwise Knockoff isn't killing. Beat Up, first hit will break the Colbur, the rest of the hits will be full power and basically just completely annihilate Jirachi. So there's that. Icicle Crash is a really good move against his team overall. His only resistances to it are Jirachi and Rotom Wash. And like, I would count Pyroar, but it's still like not wanting to switch in, especially after Rocks and a layer of Spikes and maybe even a layer of T-Spikes. So like, Scarf Weavile, looking to do a lot of work. Like, Scarf to be super Sanic fast, that would be insane if he ran anything other than that. Like anything faster than my Weavile. So next up we have this Fortress. It's a speedy Fortress. It's enough speed to outspeed his Donphan. I can explode on it. I can just like get off that Custat Berry explosion. That would be really nice, especially on his Donphan. That way he cannot spin. If I get Spikes and T-Spikes up and I'm able to explode, that'll be best case scenario, at least in my opinion. Really, Fortress is just here to set up those Spikes, because looking at his team, especially T-Spikes for Mega Lopunny, because if he's going to want to Fake Out against Mega Lopunny, he's going to be losing out on health every turn. He'll lose out 12% of health just by clicking Fake Out, and that's not including myself going into either my Rocky Helmet users, in which he'd be taking almost a third of his health every time he just decides to click Fake Out. So there's that. Fortress, really nice just to get up some extra damage against the team. Toxic Spikes are very useful against Chesnaught as well. They don't do anything against Reuniclus. If I can explode on Reuniclus, that would be amazing. Especially like if I get into Custap range, he sets up a Trick Room and it's like a last ditch effort. Just go out, throw that Custat Berry explosion out there, and then boom, gone Reuniclus. Reuniclus gone. I actually don't know exactly how much damage it does, but I'm assuming it'll do enough to the point where like I can come in with Manaphy. Let's talk about this Manaphy. Dual screens is fun. Dual screens is going to be amazing against his team. So not only is it just going to reduce the damage, it's going to force a lot of switches. As soon as I show Reflect and Light Screen, which means all the hazard stack that I'm going to be bringing against him is just going to be even that much more useful. So Reflect and Light Screen is there to help out Thundy T, who we're going to talk about next. Oh my god, I cannot speak today. Okay, so there's that. And just overall, it's going to reduce the amount of damage that he can do against like Weavile with something like Fake Out and E-Speed from Dragonite. It's just going to kind of stop it from happening. And then I also have Tail Glow and Scald on here. Now, I originally had like Scald and Psychic on here, but I felt like this Manaphy set kind of became setup fodder. So I said, let's just Tail Glow and Scald on here, that way I know I can beat Reuniclus. Especially with the Light Screen up, because Reuniclus really cannot do that much, even at +1/+2 with Psyshock. Thunder would kind of hurt, but then like if he's clicking Thunder, I can just as easily switch out into Thundy or Lando and not be overly risky. So yeah, Reflect, Light Screen, Tail Go Scald. Scald helps against his water resistances, which would be Dragonite, Rotom Wash, and Chestnut. I can get a burn on any of them, start wearing him down a lot faster. We are going to be Timid Max Speed in order to catch a potential Jirachi not being a max speed set, which could be nice. So that's Manaphy, and we're going to move on. Next up we have Sub Nasty Plot, T-Volt, and HP Ice. Thundy, Timid, Max Speed, Max Special Attack. Pretty standard looking set with the Zap Plate. Everything on his team dies after a Nasty Plot. Everything. Even Reuniclus. Even just a little bit of prior damage on Reuniclus will guarantee it, but there's definitely a chance at +2 that Thunderbolt can take out Reuniclus. With the dual screens up, if I'm behind a sub, he can't click Fake Out with Megalop. It doesn't do enough. It doesn't break the sub. So he'd be forced to go for something like Return, something like Ice Punch, and then he's sacking off his Mega Lopunny. Also at that point, Dragonite is forced to go for E-Speed in order to break my sub. So I can just get rid of that with HP Ice. That's one less threat that I have to worry about. At +2, Jirachi, unless it's like completely Spadef, it can't live. With Spikes and Rocks and like a couple of switches, 100% Nasty Plot. +2 Thunderbolt against Jirachi will kill, especially with that Zap Plate. If he is more Spadef, he's going to do even less damage to Thundy as well. So I can potentially set up subs against it. And on top of that, if he chooses to be a Scarf set, I do have the dual Rocky Helmet. I have Rocky Helmet on Lando. We're going to get to that in a second. So again, just Rachi and Megalop are not looking like the biggest threats against my team overall. At least in my opinion. So I think that's enough about Thundy. Just this combo right here of Reflect, like the dual screens Manaphy and sub Nasty Plot Thundy, I feel is going to be enough to win the game as long as I'm able to get up my rocks with Lando, a layer of spikes, and potential T-spikes with Fortress. And let's talk about Lando T for a second. Now, Earthquake is there, of course, to do as much damage as possible to the things that I know I can actually hit with EQ, which would be Jirachi, Megalop, Reuniclus, and Pyroar. The other things on his team, such as Donphan, I have Toxic for. Rotom Wash, not affected, by the way. Rotom Wash not affected by the T-spikes. So if I can catch Rotom with a Toxic as well, then that's one less problem that I really have to worry about. Like, after that, after all the hazards damage, I might not even have to set up a Nasty Plot against him. Everything will basically just die if I get enough residual damage. So that's one less turn that I have to waste of my screen setting up a Nasty Plot. Hidden Power Flying is specifically for Chestnut. Chestnut, I can get a Toxic on. However, I can have the potential to OHKO, even with this minus special attack nature. I do have the potential to OHKO after layer spikes and 1 turn of Toxic or 2 turns of Toxic. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head. But Hidden Power Flying, as long as he's not Cobra Berry. If he's not Cobra Berry, that's another thing that Thundy can set up on. So yeah, there's that. And yeah, it's just I feel like this team is gonna give me the best overall chance to win me this game. It's going to end up being like annoying thing for slowing things down. Scarf Weavile just to do as much damage to his team, because Weavile just itself is a pretty big threat against his team, and I feel like I can get into some pretty good situations with it, especially like after I explode on something and whatnot. This team overall really pressures his Donphan as well. So Donphan not looking to be the best hazard removal option that he has against my team at the very least, and I can really punish him for trying to set up with that, or get rid of hazards with Donphan. And again, because my team is pretty momentum based, I can get right back in on Donphan, set up rocks on it. I can click toxic. If it's already toxic, I'm going to win that hazard war, pretty much. So there's that. Massive win con this week, Thundy T. Secondary win con basically is Manaphy and Scarf Weavile. And other than that, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you like about this team, what you dislike, what you think could be a problem against my team in the comments down below. Of course, I will have already played the match before this, after this gets uploaded, so it's not really going to matter too much what happens in the comments. Like, if you warn me about something, it's already going to be too late. But I felt like I did the best that I could in order to cover everything on his team. So thank you everybody for watching. If you enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like on the video, and I will see you guys next time.